It's mailbag time here on Chicago Bears Now. I am your host, Harrison Graham. Appreciate everybody for tuning into today's show. And on today's show, we're going to answer some questions from our subscribers. So be sure to subscribe to the channel to be a part of our next mailbag. Echo Vortex, what will the Bears do? Use a dome or get a new stadium? So obviously stadium talk. The city of Chicago on Monday proposed 3 new Soldier Field expansion ideas. 2 of them basically are just adding a dome and expanding up to 70,000 seats. The third one had some different ramifications to the stadium. I still think moving to Arlington Heights makes the most sense for the Bears economically, unless the city says, hey, Soldier Field is yours and all the revenue is yours. I don't see how the Bears are going to opt to stay. They can build a state-of-the-art facility out there on that nice property in Arlington Heights, and they can build some businesses out there, and they can make all the money. So I think ultimately that is what will end up happening. Clay Presney, where do you think the 2 new signings fit in the scheme? So talking about Michael Schofield and Riley Reiff. I'll flash the depth chart here. Just know we're filming this mailbag on Tuesday, so things could obviously change in the first few training camp practices depending on when this mailbag is watched by you guys. But I think Michael Schofield plugs in at right guard and will start there. Riley Reiff can play both tackle spots. I feel like left tackle makes more sense, and then you let Larry Borum and Tevin Jenkins compete at right tackle. Maybe Braxton Jones competes over there as well. We'll have to wait and see. But Reiff played right last year. He's played more left in his career, but he can play both spots. There's no doubt about that. So that is the latest there. Philip Stafford, who can they sign to replace Roquan Smith if a deal doesn't get done? Well, just in time, Philip. For those still watching live on Tuesday, Ian Rappaport reports that he is at training camp, which we already knew, but did confirm that he is not going to participate in practices. So it's a hold in. If you want to get linebackers out there to sign, Anthony Hitchens is still available. Anthony Barr is still available. There's some guys. I'm not concerned about Roquan sitting out games during the season. A, I think a deal will get done, and B, if it doesn't, I don't know if that really benefits him at this point in his career, but there are a few players out there that Chicago could look at linebacker. Will Roquan get a deal done before week 1? What do you guys think? Type Y for yes, type in for no. Get your votes in down in the comments. Anthony Jones, I don't see why people are doubting Justin Fields. If our line blocks for him, he is going to go off. I think you guys should be feeling a lot better about the O-line and the offense now. Schofield and Reiff give you credibility on the offensive line next to Lucas Patrick and Cody Whitehair. You now have 4 guys who have started a pretty good amount in this league. Now, I wouldn't say any of the 4 are world beaters, but they're all average to above average players. If whoever plugs in at the other tackle spot, whether it's left or right tackle, can play at an adequate level, this can be a league average offensive line. And honestly, you can't really expect more than that this year. I think you'll build this thing as time goes on, but I think I know I personally feel better about the line than I did just a few days ago. Ryan Stevenson, could N'Keal Harry play tight end for the Bears? So I've had this idea thrown at me a few times. I feel like when we do the whole, maybe he can just play tight end instead of receiver thing, it never has it ever really worked out. Like, usually it's just like, well, he hadn't worked as a receiver, put on 10 pounds, maybe he can be a good tight end. I don't know. I think he's a receiver. I think you see what he can do there. Could he be like a big slot that, kind of plays the role of a receiving tight end? Maybe, but it's not like you're going to ask N'Keal Harry to block on the edge, So I don't think that's really realistic. Be sure to follow us on the Call-In app. We go live every single week and answer all of your questions. Audio social podcasting app where I go live. I answer your questions. I talk about the latest Bears news and rumors, just like we do here on YouTube and Rumble. But it's your chance to call into the show and interact with me. We can chop it up back and forth. It's a really good time. Join us, chatsports.com/BearsCallin. We will answer all of your questions. Josh Coulter next up. Is Fields really a franchise QB, or are we drinking the Kool-Aid? I think we're drinking some Kool-Aid for sure, but that doesn't mean he can't be a franchise quarterback. I just think last year it was embarrassing what the coaching staff did with him. It's almost unfair to evaluate anything that happened a year ago. And despite all that, there still were flashes of really, really good signs. So I think he can be the guy. I think the Bears are slowly putting pieces around him to help him have a chance to be that guy. Obviously, a big training camp coming up for Justin Fields. Tricky Trips, if Roquan doesn't re-sign, who do you believe will be the leader of the defense? I mean, he's under contract, so it's not like he's a free agent. So even if he doesn't sign an extension, unless he just holds out of the whole season, which I guess he could do, but I don't think he will, it would still be him. But, I mean, you got Robert Quinn still. He reported to camp, and if he's a part of this thing, he can be a leader. I think, guys like Jalen Johnson and I think Nicholas Morrow kind of emerges an early leader during the offseason. Eddie Jackson's a guy that's been around. I think Jaquan Brisker, as a rookie, has leadership traits. He could take on some of that as well. So you've got guys, but obviously you need Roquan. So hopefully he's locked in and ready to go. Winter Fox with the super chat. Would you be happy drafting Jaxon Smith-Njigba from Ohio State because Fields and him have a little bit of a connection? Absolutely. Now, Fields last year at Ohio State, JSN wasn't playing a ton, but he was playing some, so they have familiarity with one another. But, yeah, I mean, I would be absolutely on board with that. I think he would be a really good weapon next to Darnell Mooney. Tedros Abraha. Honest thoughts, too little too late on signing his O-line? No. You get him in there before camp. Maybe it takes him a week or two of camp to really get up to speed, but this happens every year. Jason Peters signed with the Bears 2.5 weeks into training camp last year, and he was probably the Bears' best offensive lineman. There's plenty of time to get these guys up to speed, in football shape, yada, 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 and get them ready to go. I don't think it's too little too late at all. I think it's right in time, to be honest with you. Make sure you subscribe because if the Bears sign more players, we'll have you guys covered. If the Bears, make a trade, we'll have you covered. And, of course, we just hit the latest Bears rumors that are circulating the internet as well, general training camp updates and other segments also. So hit that sub button. We will continue to keep you guys in the loop. RJ King Sharp, if Robert Quinn doesn't get traded, should they cut him or should he retire? Oh, he just had an 18.5 sack season. He's not retiring for that reason, and he's got $50 more million on his contract. No, they're not going to cut him this year. Maybe next year he could be a cut candidate, but they're either going to keep him or trade him. They're not going to cut him, and he's not going to retire, I don't think. Jeffrey Calvert Jr., would you sign Roquan to a $100 million 5-year contract with $70 guaranteed and most of his 2023 contract converted into a signing? Yeah, I mean, I think that makes sense. Keeps the cap hit down the first couple years, $20 million per year on a 5-year deal. That's probably what he's asking for. I mean, the highest paid off-ball guys are making $19 million, so he probably wants to reset the market, and I think it's a fair deal. I mean, he's a hell of a player, and you take him off this defense, you got real question marks. Tamika Lauderdale, can the Bears make the playoffs this season in Justin's new team? I mean, maybe. I think they could be a dark horse wildcard team. I think these new offensive line additions help. I think the defense is capable of being top half in the league still. I think you've got some real players, and if your two rookies in the secondary perform, this secondary could be really, really good. So I think it's possible. Would I predict it right now? No. But is it possible for them to get in the mix with an easier schedule as well? Yeah, I wouldn't completely rule it out. Evan Hart, our playoff chances went from blank to blank after these two signings. Let's say it was 10% before. Maybe it's 20%. It's still not great. But I think the unique thing about this team is there's a lot of unknown. And what unknown doesn't necessarily mean bad. Unknown could be really good. What if Justin Fields takes a massive step and is like a top 15 quarterback this year? If he plays at that level, this team's going to have a great chance to make the playoffs. Clay Presney, do you think this changes the prediction of wins this year? Yeah, I mean, I think the two offensive line additions could increase the win total maybe a game or so. Maybe more, maybe less. Hard to say for sure. But, I mean, you went from two offensive linemen that you felt good about to 4 that you at least feel average about, right? Again, Michael Schofield, this is not a superstar. Riley Reiff, he's good. He's not great. But these are two nice additions next to Cody Whitehair and Lucas Patrick, and then we'll see who the fifth guy is. And Matt Eberflus said they want to figure that out sooner rather than later. Speaking of, do you trust the regime of Poles and Eberflus? Type Y for yes, type in for no. Let me know down in the comments.